Hello and welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky verse. Well, welcome back, geek freaks. Today I am joined with JJ.
Whoa, what's up, guys? Yeah,
I didn't like the whole thing.
Keep going. Let's bring it on.
Toy Story.
What's up?
And our special guest, Mike Caro.
What's up?
You flustered him, Mike.
I know. I was thinking about too many different things, but it's fine.
You made him nervous. Look at him squirming. Jeez.
We're pivoting very quickly on our subject matter today. We're going to do some market reactions with our special guest, Mike Caro. But before we get into that, as always, we're going to turn it over to Toy Story for the Geek Beat.
Awesome. So biggest news this week, we got a trailer for Venom Let There Be Carnage, which is coming out September 24th of this year. Directed by Andy Serkis, and he actually confirmed that it's not going to be part of the MCU. So what do you guys think of it?
Well, I didn't realize that was directed by Andy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, it's really cool.
It looks pretty cool. You know, when the first Venom preview, we saw those trailers. I was so against that movie. I didn't want to see it. And
Did you see it eventually?
Like a year after it came out. Yeah.
I really liked. I was in the same camp, but I saw it and I really liked it.
I only watched the first 30 to 45 minutes of it.
It was better than I expected.
For a huge Spider-Man fan, to not watch the whole thing.
I gotta go back. I was very much in the same camp where I was just like, it has nothing to do with Spider-Man, and he only exists because of Spider-Man. I don't want to watch it. So.
It was like a 7.5 for me, which I consider pretty good.
Yeah,
I totally enjoyed it.
I'll go back and watch it.
It was entertaining. I didn't hate it. But it was you know what the thing I hate the most about the Venom movie is that now Tom Hardy has to be Eddie Brock and can't be anybody else, in a really good role. Yeah. You know,
it's funny that you mentioned that because Kevin Feige actually said he loves Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. So
really?
if they wanted to,
I'd love him more as Wolverine. I'm just saying.
That's
my.
What do you guys think of Woody?
I
don't. Oh God, I hate Woody as Cletus. I'm just saying.
Ooh, let's hear this.
I guess it's a hot take, but I'm not a fan. I love Woody as an actor. I think he's awesome, but I think they should not have picked a 60-year-old man to play Cletus Kasady.
Totally agree with you on that.
He's got to be. I mean, how the White Man Can't Jump was 30 years ago. It's
that's the first thing I thought of when I saw him. I was like,
right?
They could have gotten somebody different for him.
He's 59.
When he was younger, Natural Born Killers time.
Wow.
I'm in. Would have been perfect for this. He plays a crazy person fine, but I think he's just a little too old. I would have liked somebody a little bit younger. I would have, but he's a good actor. I think he's going to do a great job. It's just a little off-putting that he's a little bit older.
we can hear you, but you froze.
You froze. You froze.
I'm gonna kind of agree with you. I think he is old and he would have been great younger, but I mean, I love it. I think he's just crazy enough to pull that character off. There's I like that we're seeing someone kind of different too. It's not the same cast of characters we always see, or the same 5 or 6 actors that get cast as everything. He's a good throwback who's crazy. And I think the thing is, you're probably not going to see him more than in this movie, so that's probably the why they don't care about how old he is.
Probably.
But
they're probably not casting him for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
think about how old Robert Downey Jr. was when he started as Iron Man. He had to be 40 something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was older. I didn't. Listen, I'm more than happy to be just proven wrong. The best thing that can happen is I'm just sitting there going, "Well, I'm an idiot."
Listen, it's better to be proven wrong than to be proven right in these situations.
Yeah,
in that situation, absolutely. No, I think he's going to do a fantastic job. It looks like it's going to be all right. We'll see. It's kind of one of those things where it's it could turn out really well. It could be a complete
dumpster fire.
Yeah, it could be a dumpster fire. Seriously. It looks good.
I like the comedic tone it had, especially when you had Eddie
between
Brock
Venom and
Venom. I like that. That was funny. But did they give us the best shots of the film already? I guess wait and see.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, I can't imagine they did.
Probably not.
No.
All right, Matt, what else you got for news?
All right, this one's interesting. So Walmart and Target stores have apparently decided to halt the sale of all trading cards as of Friday, May 14th, after a man pulled a gun in a Target parking lot in Wisconsin, which stemmed from an argument over sports card limitations.
So that was about a week ago now that happened. Apparently that happened on May 7th, and it's prompted both those stores to pull cards as of last Friday.
And not just sports cards, also Pokemon and all
trade. I mean, that's
all
specifically, I think, what it was too. It was, it's from what I heard, it stemmed from sports cards, but they're pulling all. I mean, because they get mobbed and people get hurt every time these comes out, so they're just not going to deal with it anymore.
And
which I don't blame them.
Yeah, and if you guys ever been to one of these stores during the time when they're stocking these things, like it is absolutely amazing the lines for this, and the grown ass men like just hoarding this stuff.
Well, I mean, our original guest, it would have been interesting to talk to him about this, but
I was just about to say our original guest would have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 100% numbers, and I mean, it's hard to blame them because it's the same. We're in the same thing with the comic book market. It's just
totally.
It's not as new. It's crazy that there's something that's coming out and instantly it's valuable. I feel like with the comic books, you don't see that as much. These are like being released, and as soon as they're released, they're worth a lot of money. I mean, comic books, you'll get.
No one's really knocking down the door to get the most recent copy.
Yeah,
of the book.
Yeah,
like you might get like a couple, but it's not that crazy.
Yeah, and you're looking at what, a couple $100 at best. Like these things are going for thousands of dollars, right?
Yep.
And it's all being wiped out. Like it's absolutely amazing. Sports cards.
Speaking of,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
The stuff is just sitting on the shelf, a year ago, and now it's just. I think you blame COVID for all this stuff.
It's possible.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that too, right?
There's a lot of things
we're going to talk about market stuff, and I'm on the process of potentially buying a book right now because it has 3 minutes on eBay. I got 3 minutes. And it's under GPA, so
Toy Story. Let's get through the rest of the news, and then.
All right. So next up, a little Star Wars news. So Ewan McGregor has appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he did like a Zoom interview actually from the set of the Obi-Wan show.
And he looked like Obi-Wan.
He did, yeah. He had like the slick back hair and the beard and everything.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, he's saying that he got to play a very special scene on May the 4th with someone very special in his life, and that's all he could tell us about it. So
what
he did confirm that it was someone he's never acted with before. So I don't know, maybe it's one of his kids or something.
Yeah, I'm 100% thinking it has no bearing on like a big character. It was like his wife or his kid.
So Obi-Wan gonna have a kid in the show then? Is his kid playing Obi-Wan's kid?
I don't think so. I think so weren't you guys saying last time that there was like a woman in a family that he helped? Like a Tuscan?
in the book that they did.
Obi-Wan got in.
Yeah.
There's no way
he didn't.
He absolutely did. I mean, he was pretty. He's loose with the rules for the Jedi as it is.
Listen,
there's no way you stick him on desert planet. And
nobody who makes an intro by saying hello there has been celibate their entire life.
It might be the most sexual line in all of Star Wars.
100%.
Those movies are pretty devoid of any other.
I mean, aside from
Leia and
the
Han,
incest,
maybe.
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're filming right now, so that's also a really cool thing. And it's
when are we supposed to get that show? Do you know?
Probably early next year after Boba Fett or whatever.
They don't have a release date yet, right?
No, but it's short. It's only 6 episodes, and they're filming now, so it should be ready by next year. I'm excited. The prequels are my childhood movies, as bad as they are, so I'm pumped for it.
Well, now you're all one big camp now, right? You all just hate the new trilogy. And
so we
all just let each other go.
Yeah.
I don't hate the
original trilogy. People used to hate the original trilogy. People used to hate the new trilogy. People, and now the both of them are like, you know what? We're putting it's like Axis power.
We're setting our differences aside to hate this.
Yeah, you guys full on Russia and U.S. that you're like, you know what? The Nazis, the new. You're like, we all have to get across and just put our differences aside and just kill all of the new trilogy because we're really just unhappy with it.
Yeah, that's the
We'll just work together for this few couple of years, and then
I guess I'm in the
you guys can go
Nazi
back to hating each other.
camp then, because I don't hate anybody from the new trilogy as much as I hate Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. The new ones were fine for me. I hold no special place in my heart for any of the Star Wars stuff. So it's like
we proved that last May the 4th.
We did, yeah.
Wow.
All right. Last up, we got Dave Batista, who plays Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy. We all know that. He thinks Marvel dropped the ball a little on the character of Drax. He thinks that they kind of were a little lackluster in his backstory, and that he got beat up too often, and that they kind of made him too much comedic relief in the movies. So I feel like he probably feels like he got shortchanged a little bit.
So I kind of looked into this, and this was like my contribution to the news here. So I kind of agree with him a little bit. I think his character, once they got into the first movie, they really just went down a road that they couldn't come back from. But he is, in the comic book, a very serious and very tough character. I mean, I think he kills Thanos on his own in the comic book, I'm pretty sure, in like one of those series, or him and Quill together did it. I mean, the level of power that he has is dramatically reduced. And
you're supposed to be doing this interview right now, right?
I'm gonna mute him.
Yeah, but it's I get what he's saying, because he does have an interesting backstory and everything. So, you know, it is what it is. And he also said at the same time, he's like, I also owe them like everything for my career. Yeah, it's like, obviously, you know, it's not. I don't take anything away from them. They had their own story. He's just saying that I think they could have done more with it, like anyone really would.
I'm distracted by Mike now.
Yeah. This is a crazy episode.
Do I bring him back on?
Yeah,
there he is.
Hey. So, do you want him to jump on or no?
I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
I don't care.
Can he jump on? Is he in a?
Yeah, he's ready to jump on right now.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we're going back to our original episode.
All right, just jump on.
And this is gonna be our interview.
TC, did you send him an email?
I did. I did. Yep.
Yeah, just click the link. What's wrong?
Just click the link and bring it on.
Are you 95 years old? You know how to use technology? Just click the link.
We're so keeping this in the show.
You can use a computer. You can use your phone. It doesn't matter. Anything with a camera, Alex.
Oh my God.
Where are you? Are you home?
The revamp of our show is getting.
Is he not home?
I love you, but they're fucking worse.
Cuss words. It's okay. They only check the first 5 minutes. The first minute for cuss words.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna get you demonetized. Just bleep me. We're not live.
No, we're not live on Instagram.
No, we're not live.
Yeah, you're gonna edit this, right?
So I don't think I'm gonna edit this. I think this is great.
What'd you say?
So
it's not a Zoom, it's a website, StreamYard. Just click the link, Alex. Open the email and click the link.
And when we look at those analytics, when the down period is,
either that or it's going to rise dramatically.
Right? Today's Wednesday, Alex. It's a new comic book day.
What is going on?
This is a great time to do a show, Alex.
I heard whatever that was.
What is that?
Oh, that's the airplane above my.
Can you guys still hear me, by the way, on the thing?
What is going on?
I don't know.
I mean, if he can't do it, we'll go back to what we're
doing. No, he's coming.
All right. Well, we'll just jump right into it. So we're welcoming Alex, iPhone Elite.
Great.
Who was the original guest?
Yes, the original guest. We did some, tiptoeing back and forth, but now our official original guest is here. So, Alex, usually how we like to start things with our new guest is we like to get their geek origin story. You know, like what first got you into collecting, or the geek culture, or whatever it was that kind of first gave you that inkling into this community.
Just in general. I mean, I've always been a Marvel fan. And Venom was always my character, so I've always been in the Spider-Man phase. I grew up with X-Men, just growing up as a child. My my dad used to buy comic books for me, so I would just always have them. So it always originated since I was always young, whether from trading cards to comics. So it always stuck with me. It didn't really like start for collecting, and it's probably the same for Mike, because when me and Mike finally met, because I sold him, Mike had already had some comic books himself, but then I said, hey, like maybe you should start, investing into like first appearance books. So we kind of were like, all right, now like the trend, they're building Avengers movie and things like that. I think it's good to just invest and find all the first appearance comic books that we can possibly find. And then it stuck like that. I was already kind of collecting prior. I think there's a comic book store in New York City called St. Mark's Comics at the time.
Yep.
And they used to have 50% off back issues. So my fiance was going to college in the city, and we would stop in, and she's like, check this out. And I would just regularly go in there and just pick up issues, just whatever I liked. I would just buy them. And then later down the line, I started just building like that. This was even before even grading books and even considering grading books, and before pressing, before anything. Me and Mike would just buy raw.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting to be where we are today in 2021. It's
where barely anybody buys raw, it seems like.
Yeah. I barely buy raw.
The only thing about raw now is that it's hard to buy raw, because if the person's selling it raw, most likely either doesn't believe in CGC or grading, or they know that it's not going to fetch a high grade or things like that. So if you're a collector and you didn't grade it yourself, then most likely me and Mike can already know, like, okay, this book isn't going to get a 9.8 or a 9.4. It's just, if you want a nice copy and you have a nice readable copy, then that's how it is. Because everything now is all, you have to grade the book to fetch the dollar amount that you want.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've said this so many times that, you really have to educate yourself and learn how to like evaluate the grade of a book. And I mean, to your point, though, I think that's probably the only place where you can actually get a deal nowadays is if you find a graded a raw book, but know what you're supposed to be looking for. And that's, other than that, you're going to be paying crazy prices for stuff.
Crazy price. And if you can find it raw, that's great. That's, and we're looking for books that are 1963, 19, Bronze Age, but we're looking over 20, 30 years, before Pokemon. So it's hard to find books, but they're out there if you continuously look. And we've searched, we've driven back and forth East Coast and things like that, and there's not many stores that do exist that carry books that you can just find, even deals. It's like person to person at this time, unless your aunt or your mom or your grandmother who had comic books in the attic, like that.
That's those are few and far between at this point. Yeah,
needle in the haystack. It's just really, really, really tough. And they're getting harder and harder to come by.
So you mentioned this already, and it was kind of one of the things we wanted to talk to you about. So for people who don't already follow at iPhone Elite, you can see he's into a lot of different things. He's across the spectrum, but we know you're into Pokemon a lot. And when did you really notice? I know 1999 basically is when these kind of came out, right? They hit the shelves around that year.
Yeah, Pokemon originally started in 96 in Japan, 96. But they had before it was a trading card game, they already had trading cards of the Pokemon, which predates the trading card game, which is still very valuable. But everyone knows the game as the 1999 trading card game, where you would trade and go. I remember going to the Toys R Us events and getting the promos and things like that too. Pokemon's exploded really, really.
And when did you notice that like when did the explosion start?
So I was an original Pokemon collector. I've had Pokemon cards since 20 years ago. So more so than Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, but the trend. So I have to say it was around the same time right now, which is about April and May, right, of last year, where I started noticing like what was going on, just in general. And I think it's all really thanks to. I really have to thank Logan Paul, and he really, really was very, very good at just being in it, and just being something that's new and fresh. And then he already is a very like A-list celebrity. So he's like perfect to be like, follow me, and I'm collecting Pokemon, and then everyone who was an original Pokemon collector, it just kind of kept on going and going. And I think in general, just with COVID hitting, the collectible market exploded, but the card market exploded.
Right.
Comics have always been kind of trending up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything has been trending up, 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 up. And we go by the census of, I don't know if you guys know, we go by GPA analysis.
No, we know.
Oh yeah, they're very aware.
But I like that.
By the way, coming from somebody who every other day texts me, "Hey, can you give me GPA on this book?" And I'm at work tattooing, and 2 hours later I have to look up 45 books.
Yeah, I'm to blame. I use Mike's account. So I actually so we have like a whole database of just trending, and if you go from like 2000, 2013, everything is just upward.
Yeah.
The only time you see a book really downwards is, for example, Thanos is no longer with us anymore, so it was really higher, and now he's gone. Like if the character is dead, then he kind of settles out. But it's just like that. And Pokemon and baseball cards, basketball cards have been really just upwards like that. So now, like April, May of last year, I started like, okay, what to invest in? Because now you have from 99 all the way to 2020 of like how many different sets have came out. So what to invest in, So for me, I said, you know what? If I'm going to invest in anything, let's stick to the original. Let's stick to the original base, original sets, and long term, they'll never go down, and
they're blue chip basically.
What?
They're blue chip basically.
Yeah. So
you think that's sustainable though at this point? Like that's it's pretty crazy.
If you're comparing in card market versus comics, I think it's very, very. Right now, a year later, we're now with the explosion with Logan Paul opening up the first edition booster box to opening up the second edition booster box. So we're kind of like in a stagnant right now. I feel like Pokemon has declined a little bit, which most collectibles go back down and then they go back up. But there's not. I don't think there's a lot of people. There is, but like compared to sports and comic books, I just feel like liquidity, like basically there's a lot more people who spend money in sports and comic books than there are Pokemon cards. I know that because there's not many people that have the ability to buy something for $400,000 versus like, okay, would you buy a first edition Pokemon booster box or would you buy, let's say, a Batman one or an Action Comics one?
Yeah.
Most a house in a not New York.
Exactly. So I really do believe that overall, and it's crazy because, and Mike even knows too, I've never thought in my life, and that's the one thing, is that I've done more bigger deals in Pokemon than I have in the comic industry. But it's because I know everyone in the industry, and people have Action Comics one on the wall or high grade books that are like over, let's just say, 60,000 or 100,000. Now I'm holding a booster box that's over $350,000.
I have a buddy that I worked with for about good 6 years and he left my company I worked with to start up his own card company.
Yeah.
And a year ago he sold, I guess some lady she bought a second box of the original Pokemon up and she kept it up in a closet. He sold it for over $300,000. And you may even know him, Yair Rotzman. But it was on a YouTube. He did a whole YouTube videos. They did a box opening of this. Like, it was insane to sell a box for over $300,000. It was insane.
It's probably, and I will say this too. I mean, Mike even says too, like, you don't really like, for me, if you see my profile, I'm in the process of building a website, but I'm in so many different things. So I don't really use my Instagram as a profile where come and buy something from me and things like that. If you know me, you engage together. It's not really so much about making money, but it's also about building connections. So for me, and I will tell you, I've never sold a comic book for over 300,000, but I've sold Pokemon cards for down 6 figures. It's crazy to me. And my comic collection is insane, but it's like, okay, it's gotten to that point. And I guess also because it's also rare, but it's hard to, and that goes into the lines of, okay, comic books are rare too, but you can find an X-Men one, you can search it, you can find an Action Comics one, if you find it right, but it's just, who didn't open the Pokemon box from 1999? Who didn't play their Mario Brothers Super Mario Brothers number 3
Right.
and not open the Nintendo game and keep it sealed. It must have had to have been like insane. It's crazy to even think like, oh, I'm going to open one and hold it. So that I think that's the factor that brings the value where it is, because it's like pristine. You never opened it. You never, you know.
Yeah, for the cards and especially like the video games where like it must have been like you had an extra one and it went in some box. Like that's all I can ever think of is like. But even when I remember when I was a kid, if I got an extra one, I was like we were returning it immediately and buying a video game I didn't have. So it's just like it must have been like backstock that never got sold. It really is crazy.
And the video game market has exploded too, just in general. But I stand behind comics 100%. Like, you know, and finding a comic book and getting it graded, and then that also brings into the situation with grading cards right now. PSA and Beckett are like the leading card companies, and you know, they're overwhelmed. You know, people want to grade their cards. They want to, you know, and then you know, there's some other side project companies that have come out, like, you know, SGC and GMA and things like that. And then, you know, you got CGC now dabbling into the card market. Yeah, people are like, oh, what is the CGC? And I said, this is what CGC has. What it takes as far as a comic grading company, plus now having a card grading company under the belt, I think CGC is like, again, in the trend up, and in point proven. You're a year later, PSA is completely backed up. Beckett is completely backed up. Their pricing is outrageous, overpriced. Okay, but it still fetches the numbers when you have a graded.
And now we're on the verge of
we won't get into
getting,
problems with CGC right now. But,
and I'm waiting for things to open up so I can send some cards.
CGC is great though, but CGC came out at $7, $10 a card, and you got your cards back within a month, and people are very, very happy with it. Not knowing, people in the card community are like PSA Beckett, but they don't know CGC. If you are not collecting comics or grading comics, you don't know what CGC really is.
So what's the price difference right now, like between CGC and Beckett cards?
So right now, so at the time, I think it moved up. I have someone that grades for me. It was originally, I think, at a high tier list between $7 or $10 a card. Now I think they bumped it up between $13 and $15 a card. PSA and Beckett still have that same tier, but your month waiting list is like 8 months to a year.
It's like way longer, right, for the same.
So obviously, if you don't care, but here's the problem: now that you're a year later and your cards are still stuck at PSA, now you got to pay the extra express services. So then, you know, $25 to $35. The more money you spend, the more faster your cards come back.
Basically, exactly what's going on with CGC in the comic books right now.
I was paying $30 for my PSA cards to get graded.
And how long would it take to come back?
A long time, a really long time.
At $30.
Yeah, because I remember I would drop them off at New York Comic Con, and it would be months before I see them.
So even back then, their service couldn't, like, CGC services are pretty good. You know, I mean, in general, in comic books, like, drop it off 2 months later, they're ready to go. You know.
Oh, you're not getting your comic books back in 2 months ever again.
Yeah.
Right now they're backed up.
They're really that backed up?
They're for comics.
Yeah. I'm not getting stuff back until October.
Yeah, they might be quicker with cards. I'm not sure.
They're super fast with cards.
I have a stack. I want to get this out there and send it in, but I don't want to wait months.
I'll tell you, I dropped off my cards end of December, and we were doing express services with PSA, and we still have the cards still there. And we paid over $55, between $50 and $75 a card.
Yeah.
Are those from the box breaks you were doing in December?
Box breaks, and then at the time, what I was doing is, it's so crazy because I can look at a raw card and be like, okay, I'm going to get it graded, and I'm going to be able to trade it or sell it later on. Now I'm not buying any raw cards. I'm just buying graded.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at a comic book and buy it raw, and then be like, all right, I'm going to get it graded, and it's off the CGC. You know, I'll buy it really cheap off the CGC because like I'm paying less than what CGC prices are. But now it's like everything just buy it graded. I don't have to deal with the hassle. I don't have to worry about it.
Have you heard what's going on recently with like Walmart and Target and cards?
Yeah, I think that's also, you know, just in general. I liked it because nowadays it's hard to just I'm in the shoe world as well too. It's hard to just they got rid of like the lining up, also during COVID, but they make it so that it's fair to everybody. So if you wait outside Target, they give you a ticket, and then if you wait overnight, I really give it to the people who really do spend 8 hours, 9 hours sitting outside to just wait in line to get that box for $20, and then they have to resell it for more, whatever they need to make money or whatever the case may be. So I have a friend of mine who's in Vegas, and he gets lucky, but he gets so unlucky. He'll get before like after the vendor drops off everything, and then he's takes all the Pokemon cards and brings it to the register, and then the manager stops him and says, "Hey, listen, you got to buy one or two. You got to keep, And he's basically arguing with him. He's like, "All right, well, hold on a second. If I go to your vacuum aisle and I buy all your vacuum cleaners and I sell it on Mercari for all, well, I'm sorry, sir. That's different." He's like, "No, how is that different?
Yeah.
Because it's a card and everyone's like flooding to your store for this, and at the top of it, really, it's not even Target. It's actually a third-party vendor that brings the product to the store. So everyone tries to, bombard him and things like that. But he says, "I'm going to go buy all your vacuum cleaners, and you're going to have to restock it again. So you're not going to limit me to how many vacuums I'm going to buy or how much bubble gum I'm going to buy." So it got to the point where now it's like done. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't blame them for being done with it at all.
Yeah,
they're not making money, and it's just causing chaos, and people are getting upset. And I remember just going in the store and just if you're there early, fine, but then also it's like you got to be fair. If all 5 of us show up and I'm first in line and I'm grabbing all the stuff,
right?
Then and I'm not sharing with you guys, then there's going to be an argument or fight.
Yeah, of course. Which is what happened.
And, I've got 2 little kids. I've got an 8-year-old and I've got a 6-year-old. And, one of the great things, we would go to Target and we would go down the aisle. They'd pick a pack or 2. And, and it's unfortunate for months, we haven't been able to do that because they're big. They love collecting the cards. They have absolutely no idea how to play the game. They just collect them. But, you got to feel bad for these little kids who do that, who have done that. And it sucks. It's the only thing that I can't stand about it, because there would be times where we'd make a trip to your local, Target, and at least peruse. If there's something there, you pick up the card.
And in general, I mean, I thought Pokemon was crazy, but like even the hobby boxes, basketball, boxes,
crazy.
1,500 to I broke boxes for 11,000. It's like crazy, and there's only 8 cards in there. 8 cards in there.
Yeah, that's staggeringly stupid. I saw those Marvel Masterpieces. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get back into those, and then I looked at the box, and it's like $1,000 for a box, and you get like 12 cards. I was like, "Nah, I'm all right, thanks."
And I think it's the gambling factor too. You don't know what you're going to get, and I think that opening for your kids is so important. And the joy that me going back in 1999, opening the packs and getting the card and then putting it in your binder. I see so many adults right now who had their binders as kids. Like, "Oh, well, I have my binder in the attic right now. All right, Alex, how much can I get for this? 10,000?" It's insane.
Basically what I did with you and my basketball cards.
I will tell you what, I will never forget. I think it was a year, maybe 2 years ago. Like at the time, I think he was 6 years old. Like, he opened up a pack of Hidden Fates and he pulled a shiny Charizard. And like, I had no idea what this card was, but he knew exactly from YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a really expensive card, and it's beautiful. He keeps it. We have, I think, it in the safe right now. But like, that was such a great moment to know that he pulled this extremely rare or valuable card.
Yeah, it's that factor of what if, what's inside, and it brings that joy back. I mean, me myself, it's like, I'm going to spend $2,000 opening up packs, or I should just buy the Charizard by itself. But the fact is, you're opening it, and what if you just open that first pack and you get the Charizard instead of spending all that money?
It was one pack he picked, and it was from a Target, and he got lucky.
That's awesome.
And I think even before Logan had really stepped in, there were a lot of YouTube PokeRev, and Leonhardt. He was built up his YouTube channel and opening up packs live and giving that excitement, and watching someone opening it live. It gets me excited. It's like gambling, straight up.
I've spent an exorbitant amount of time watching Leonhardt open packs. It's pretty scary.
Amazing.
What's sick about that is I didn't care about box breaks or pack openings until Alex started doing it, and because I follow this moron. I I watched his lives because I watch all his lives because they're usually insane. So he was breaking Pokemon packs, and I was just in there. I didn't buy any. Like, I thought about buying packs, but I have no interest in Pokemon cards. But I just wanted to buy them just because it was fun, just watching him open packs and seeing what these. It's weirdly.
I completely see the desire completely.
Yeah, it's weirdly gratifying to see other people like get a Charizard.
It's amazing, awesome. And then that just makes you. But then it's unsatisfying when you open up 1,000 packs and you don't hit.
You get nothing.
Yeah. Then you have a bunch of base cards. Then I have to have my assistant organize all the energies with It's a freaking nightmare. And then now you have all this bulk and all this paper.
Right. You should see the bedroom. It's crazy. And I'm a big non-sports card collector. I love it, but I can never get to the moment of doing a box open because I want to open it up right away. Yeah. I'm one of those guys, it's fun. Let me ask you a question. So a lot of the sports cards you get, have you run into any issues where, I ran into an issue a couple months ago, and it really made me think about buying cards where I took a step back.
Yeah.
So, I started getting into these historical cards, like you can pull an Abraham Lincoln autograph. Yeah. I'm a big history guy and I love history.
That's good.
So there was a cards that came out and I bought 2 boxes and there was 1 card in each box and I bought them from an online reseller. And when I got the box, I opened one box up. I was like, oh, this is cool. It's a 1 of 1. It's great. It's, 1 of 1. It's listed 1 of 1. It was a stamp and a coin. It was pretty cool to me, Open up the second box, and it was the exact same card.
Wow.
1 of 1. The exact double. I mean, I have it here still. It's what? I swear to God. And, I sent the company an email, and they're like, hey, can you send that back to us for training purposes? It was a mistake on our end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that's what these are.
Oh, wow.
And
see, the correct thing to have done was not to put that on a podcast, sell that, and keep the other one.
I don't they're not worth anything, I don't think. But so
okay, so they're the greatest slabs inside.
Yeah. They're not graded.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. 1 of 1. It says right here.
Yeah. Wow. Never
There's
seen
the
that
other one. Same exact card and everything else. Everything exact on them. So, I mean, have you seen?
I haven't. It's funny because I talk to my dad all the time, and he goes, and I tell him, like, Dad, it's a 1 out of 1. He's like, how do you know it's a 1 out of 1? I know that it's not been printed and it's just sitting in a warehouse, just collecting dust and waiting for that right time to come to public. But it's supposed to be when it's 1 out of 1 or 1 out of 5. They really in the sports collectible market, it's always like that's what they go by, in the sense of.
And this I started collecting less ever since this because it's just what else is out there, because I've got a lot of sports cards and you see these Mike Trout autograph cards 1 of 1, but is it really 1 of 1? I mean, I know a card like that, it will get out that there might be multiples, but
and I mean that's why I don't have anything like that graded right now. But I started. That's why you can scan the card. They can tell you the population of how many of those cards were graded, and it's hard too because I had a football card, a Justin Herbert card, and it was a buddy of mine who just got it graded, and it was a population 2. So there's only 2 cards. So there's none sold online, and there's none listed online. So how do you kind of
value it? Yeah.
But I tell you, I just had a card show this past weekend in Wayne Card Show. So it's like one of the first card shows I set up to just get involved. But I was showing that card around to the dealers, and they're a little skeptical to purchase it because they don't know how to price it, and it's like it's like kind of like population 2, not 1 out of 1, but just in general. I have it graded. It's not raw. What can you give me for it? What can I do? Trade value wise, and it's hard to sell something that's like, okay, it's 1 out of 1, okay, but then you got to find the person that's willing to also purchase it, who's going to come to the table and really purchase it.
It's funny because I was trading blows with this company, like emails back and forth, and I was pissed, and then they ended up sending me a card like, "Hey, we'll send you this if you send these two back," and they just sent me the card. And it's an autograph. Anthony Quinn is a big actor, old, but again, it's one of one. And I got this in the mail, going, "Is it really?"
Yeah, the same company burns you twice. It's like,
and that's sport collectible. So Pokemon is not numbered. It's not 1 out of 1, So when you see this, and I started dabbling into the sport collectible market because everyone said, move away from Pokemon, go to sports. And I'm not avidly into sports, but I'll dabble and see. But I like that factor when you open up that box and be like, okay, I can hit a Mike Trout 1 out of 1, or whatever the case may be, or it's a purple prism or it's a pink prism, and there's only 5 made, or whatever the case may be, and it trying to basically make it so that, okay, I'm one of the 5 people in this world. I have a card here that I just purchased. It's Kobe Bryant, and it's a game worn signed auto.
Wow.
And it's out of 43 out of 49.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's supposed to be 49 of these, I'm not really sure, but it's printed on the card. It says it on
I guess you can never know for sure, really. But,
you never really know for sure. I just think it's cards that really exploded. I know people who I wasn't doing cards.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. You brought up the fact that the Pokemon cards are not numbered or anything like that. So like the Hidden Fates, the Shiny Charizard, like, is there a number of how many that are out there? Do they list like how many do they print of these to put out? Because it is a rare card. It's worth a lot of money.
It's rare, but it's because it's depending on how many. I don't really know the exact how like I've hit that Zard before by opening up a case. So you, like, for example, it's Hidden Fate Elite Trainer boxes. Usually, I want to say that, but it's not guaranteed. But I think that it is, right. You have 10 boxes per sealed case.
Right.
Within that sealed case that you purchase from the distributor to be able to distribute it to your local customers, it's like probably 1 per box, right? That's normally how I don't know if you guys do Funko, but it's like for every 6 Funko you purchase, right, you get 1 chase, right? Whatever the case may be. But I guess the harder the hit, the more valuable it is. But I noticed that once people start hitting the Charizard, then the values really starts to diminish. Right. So there isn't like a number on that. The only thing we can go by is like population. I think there's a scan of how many are in the census at a PSA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how they track it. So, but that doesn't mean how many Charizards were printed, because you can have your Charizard right now and it's not graded. So how do I know that you have the Charizard?
Right.
So
interesting.
So I want to go back to something you kind of mentioned earlier. So you did have a booster box, right?
Yeah.
Originally, how do you get one of those in your hands?
So we had a collector. Well, actually, someone who had purchased the box. He purchased it a long time ago, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and he bought that. And he's a undisclosed, but he was actually a comic collector.
Okay.
He just on a whim was like, I'm gonna just buy these boxes. Let me just see how it goes. So to find that and then have it be brokered, like, okay, what do you want to do with it? Okay, I want to cash out, and then I want to be able to, but then that's the biggest problem that I mostly had. So me and my partner, we would have to come, we would have to investigate it, and we have to make sure that the box is legit, real. You have to make sure, because that's the biggest problem, right? It's not graded by CGC, it's not graded by PSA. So how do you authenticate it? And one of the things that it helped me was watching Logan break. And I'll tell you one thing: when you're holding the box, the wrap is kind of like loose, but you're spending over $300,000 for a box, and if you break it open and the contents inside are fake, you're absolutely. I called Mike too. I was like stressed out about it, because I was like, I want to buy it. I want it to go to a good home. All right, I would like to make money in between it, but it's like
I don't want to call me to buy the box. That was not.
I don't want to be responsible. And then holding it the way it feels, and the way the cards are crimped in the back, like there's so many different things, and it's a very, very disconcerting feeling, right? So then I was like, all right, you know what? you know, can we buy the box and then do we have an option to open it? Well, there was an option to open it, and the buyer says, okay, listen, I'll sell it to you, and you can open it. If the contents are real, you pay me. If the contents are fake, I take the loss. But again, even if they are real, now you lose the integrity of the box.
Integrity of the box.
So I'm not Logan, who's being able to sell each pack for 10 or 15,000. So yes, they're worth a lot of money, and it's all there. But now that I just opened the box, and now I have an unsealed Mario Brothers cartridge now. That's the cellophane's ripped off, and then I can't just go to anywhere and just reseal it myself, right?
Right.
So that's like the biggest question. So long story short, I had to bring in like three experts to pictures, videos, feeling it, holding it. It's a very, very scary feeling of making sure that the guy is comfortable purchasing it, and then writing a disclosed agreement like, hey, listen, this is as far as where it goes. You're taking it as is. Lawyer has to be written down. Contract has to be written up, like just to be so everyone is protected and knowing what you're what you're getting yourself into.
Did you weigh the packs too and all that?
Can't weigh the packs.
Can't open the cellophane.
Oh,
it's actually
okay.
Yeah,
it's
but
actually funny.
But going forward, yes, you can weigh the pack, right? Because when you open a box and it's 36 packs, it's usually 12 holographics. There's only 12 hollows in the box itself. So out of the 36 packs you get, only 12 of them are heavy packs. So a lot of the packs will be over 21 grams.
Mm-hmm.
The rest will be under 20 grams. So you can literally open up a box, take out the 12, and then you know that the holograms are in this 12 packs, and then the rest are all base. They consider them light packs, basically.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's actually kind of funny because when I was talking to one of the guys I work with, because he watched all Logan Paul stuff. He's big on all the cards and he's big on all the coins and stuff. But he was talking to me about that, and I kept telling him, I was like, I really don't kind of understand at some point why people are paying so much crazy money for each of these packs. At some point, you're like, he's buying these boxes. Once you open the box, you're pretty much just gambling at that point. You're gambling $15,000 on a pack. If you get a Charizard, it's not necessarily gonna be a $350,000 card. If it grades a 9 instead of a 10.
Well, I will tell you this. Before the box being, reaching the numbers of 300,000, the box was, we got a PSA 10 Charizards were about 50,000. PSA 9 Charizards were about 25,000. So I was really looking at the market like that. And then a booster box is about 100 to 150,000 before the market exploded. So even if you got the Charizard in the box and got it graded, all the hollows, you still make money. Now, while everything was kind of trending up, at one point it was, okay, I can buy a booster box and I can open it and I can still make my money if I hit the Charizard because I can get it graded 9 or 10. I'll be able to get my money back, and then I still have money left over. But then while the Charizard PSA 10 and the booster box was going up at the same time, it was like, all right, now I'm going to spend $300,000 for a PSA 10 Charizard, or am I going to spend $300,000 for a first edition booster box, which is not guaranteed that you can have a Charizard inside.
No, it's not guaranteed. Even if that Charizard is never touched, that's going to get a 10 because if it's off center, it's over.
You're screwed. Right.
It's all great. It's completely like really like that's why
it's a real gamble.
Real gamble, 100%.
And what's the drop off to a 9 now on a PSA?
So I had a 9, and a year later I had purchased a 9, thinking that okay, I got to get in the first edition booster Charizard 9. If the Charizard 10 is supposed to be like 350, then the mix 9 is supposed to be like 100.
It's right? Like a 9896 situation.
Yes, but the population is so much higher in a 9 than the 10, so that's why the 9 isn't fetching more than like 50 or something like that.
Yeah, that's an enormous drop off.
Wow.
Enormous drop off.
That's crazy.
But I mean, 9.6 Hulk 181s versus 9.8 Hulk 181s.
It's a it's $30,000 difference now, but that's still not $320,000 difference. Like that's not close. Like they're not, that's a $300,000 difference. It's 6 times as much. But that's what I mean. Like you're almost better at this point. Why break the box if you're not going to make $1 million?
Exactly.
Like if you're a Logan Paul, you can sell each pack for $30,000 and make $1 million, make back $500,000. It's worth it. But otherwise, it's like, why break the box?
One of the biggest things was when I held the box. I mean, I don't have a box, but I would hold the box like this, like the booster box. And if you shifted it to the left, you would feel something like slide over. And you shift it over, right? And it's sealed, right? And you're like, what the fuck is sliding over? Right? What the hell is this? Like, is it real? Is it not real? So, and I kept on going over and over again. And it's funny because back in the day in '99, it's literally 36 packs, right? So you have 18 packs on one side of the box, and you have 18 packs on one side of the box, right? So they're like this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, you bring up the Logan Paul break, and he was breaking the first box. It's so interesting. But as soon as he opened the box, the first pack, it's not 18 here, 18 here.
There's one on top.
It slid. Yeah.
One was right directly in the middle.
Yep.
So by it being directly after he opened it, directly in the middle, helped verify the box even more to know that, okay, it can be sliding back and forth. It's not that,
Yeah.
and it's right there. If you guys go back to the first box break video, you see the first pack, the Venusaur pack, is right dead center in the middle of the box.
Interesting.
That's funny.
In '99 things weren't as sealed as they are in 2020. 2021 basically.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, let's move into something else now. Let's go. So, how many things do you like to collect versus flipping now? You told us a lot about the cards and the selling. What do you like to keep in your personal collection?
So it's hard to, I buy what I like, but comics is always something that I always will collect. I don't really set up at shows, but I like to trade, and I trade with Mike a lot too. So usually he if I don't have something, I'll trade with him or upgrade and things like that. But comics too, collecting. I mean, I have a little bit of everything, and it's hard. I have comics. I do Funko. I have cards. I do shoes. And I keep myself active and busy, and I'm not just into one thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that's a good thing because I'm all over the place. But
I mean, you're a hustler. You hustle. You got a lot of things going on at once, right?
I 100% always have something going on always at once. But I guess I'm also afraid that, like, if cards don't work out, I have comic books. If shoes don't work out, I have that. So I'm always educating myself as far as what is trending, what's not trending, and trying to keep myself afloat. But if you ask me, like now, like crypto, right, and stocks, whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, am I doing this to like make a living? No, but I genuinely, I'm just, like I said, like who's to say that the Abraham Lincoln card that you have can't be something else? It started from nothing.
Right.
You just have to just pick and choose. And that goes even deeper with comics. Like when the Guardians of the Galaxy and all that showed up, and I still have to do this for like phase 5 and phase 6. I literally sat in a room for 48 hours. And what I did was I wrote down all the first appearances of all the key books. And I also wrote where they're going to lie going forward to the future. Is Thanos going to come in? Now we have, Thanos is gone. Now where are we going to be with the X-Men? So I was like literally pinpointing, literally jotting down notes of where I can invest into a comic book that that the book is $4. Where are we going to be today? I bought Miles Morales books for $3.99 each, multiple copies.
Oh yeah. I remember you picking up. We were in Garden State Con or whatever the one at the Meadowlands was, and you were just picking up Kamala Khan's like crazy $5-10.
And I'm just where is Kevin Feige going to do next? So I'm like constantly really up and up. Kamala Khan, is great. Miss Marvel #1, and it was a nothing book. Young Avengers was another book after Endgame. I said to myself, what are they going to do? You already have Kate Bishop, young, as a young Hawkeye. You have Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter, being for the Young Avengers. So I said, all right, let's buy Young Avenger books. And now look, Young Avenger #1s were $200-300 9/8, and now they're $1,600 to $1,800. just for me, and if you ask me, am I selling? No.
That's the first time Alex has ever thrown a price off the top of his head, ever.
I like Matt. I like Elite Comics because you guys have a page where you have a source of all the hottest books on your profile, and like, you know what? Put a book out there, sell it. You make your commission or whatever the case may be, and then the person's happy. And it's just a long list of all these good books to buy, and it's from Turtles to anything. And that's one of the reasons why I like you guys, because you have such a broad range of everything and a lot of high grades, and you could just purchase things like that too. So I was like, okay, cool. So then I guess fine. I can buy and I can kind of sell with you guys and things like that. But I'm kind of still waiting. I'm not in a. Is it a right time to sell Young Avengers right now? I don't think so.
No.
That's the question for every book right now, though, right?
But the way I look at it is, I think the perfect time to sell that stuff is once you see a trailer.
That's exactly
not the movie. Once the trailer, that's the time.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I thought that too with Amazing Spider-Man 129 when I saw the trailer for Netflix and things like that, and I sold my 9.2 for $1,000. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm safe. Okay, then they go into season 2, and now today it's like, what the heck is going on? Like,
I think COVID really just put anything
like
that
nobody could have predicted that
not
either.
even collectibles, anything that people want. I mean, just look at the housing market. If you're selling, people want it. Like anything that people desire to buy is hot.
I don't think it was COVID. I'm gonna tell you right now. I think part of it was COVID and stimulus and all that stuff, but I think a lot of people are making a lot of money off this crypto. And people made a ton of money in the last few months on crypto,
really
and they are just throwing that money around like crazy.
But you also got to remember, they're also throwing that money around in this market because
well, that's what I'm saying.
They can't travel, they couldn't go to bars or restaurants, stuff like that. So there's not a lot of luxurious other things to spend your money on. So people
I would imagine that a lot of like nerdy people and geeky type people were into crypto fairly early, and if they're gonna you give a bunch of nerds a bunch of money,
I guarantee you a lot of people who are into crypto are also into comic books.
Exactly. Like that money's going right there.
I think the one biggest thing is that I forgot to mention, or what I saw is that now that we're older, I think one of the biggest things is that okay, you know what? I didn't have many Charizards, or I didn't have I didn't have a lot of X-Men ones. So you're buying back like your nostalgia, right? What that specific card means to you, what that specific comic means to you, picking it off at the comic book store when you were 10 or 11 years old. So all these older people who have families and they already have the house, they already have the kids, what do they spend their money on right now? Right?
You nailed it right there, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's the thing too. We've talked about nostalgia, and every year you got to remember these people are getting older. I mean, that also contributed to the to the Pokemon thing. How old are the people now who collected Pokemon in 1999? They're about, they've gotten that job, they have the family now. They're like, all right, well, I can't go out and spend my money and get drunk all the time, so I'm going to sit at home and buy the stuff that I used to like. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
And we got the internet now. You can get whatever you want. I actually just got a whole bunch of Marvel cards. I traded for a tattoo. It was great. I sent pictures to Alex.
That's funny because your Pokemon cards is like my Star Wars figures from '77.
There you go. But Star Wars,
I collected those, and because I don't have them anymore, so I've been buying them up if I get them for a right price.
And Star Wars right now is
can't even touch it.
I know someone who one of my good friends. I don't know if you guys saw the Pawn Stars bit where he comes on, he tries to sell the Boba Fett rocket firing Boba Fett.
Is that Steve?
Not Steve. His name is Paul.
Paul.
Anyway, long story short, my friend Paul, is one of the owners that owns it, who only carded Boba Fett, and I saw his collection, and my God, he is like original 12 backs, like crazy prototypes. It's like, wow, like you think like you had to have. It's also niche because people in the Star Wars community, one of my friends had to vouch for the other friend because it's kind of like they're trading amongst each other, but they're not selling to make a profit or make money. And if you sell, then you kind of get booted out because it's like you're not supposed to be doing things like that. It's supposed to be in the within the community, or not the community, but just in the whatever, how many people are members in the group,
Right. And that's another thing. Like that's something you buy in the store and you rip that stuff open to play with it. You don't keep it in a package. You played with it.
Oh, I know a sick individual who bought two of every single Thundercats, and
Oh my God.
he was given Jared, Jared.
Jared.
Yeah. He was given money to buy 4 Thundercats for the first series. I think it was 4 figures. And his dad gave him money to buy all 4 of them. And instead of buying all 4 different ones, he bought 2 Linos and 2 Mumras, and just opened one and put the other ones in the attic and never opened them again. He was 8 years old, or not even. He's 3 years older than me. He was like a child and knew like not to do it. It was crazy.
You can't collect everything. I think it's like you got to pick and choose. At this point, it's like, hey, I love to collect Star Wars, but it's like, okay, the right place, right time, and
that's how I feel about Pokemon cards. It's just, and I don't have the love for it either. Like, I watched the show a little bit as a kid, but I never got to. I felt like I was a little too old to get into the cards. Like, I just had gotten out of basketball cards, so it's just like I was kind of done with cards at that point. Like my '90s collection, I just wound up going to Royal and making a deal. Like I had like 15, 20 Kobe rookie cards. I mean, none of like really huge ones, and they weren't like graded or anything or super high end, but it was.
But I think also the biggest thing is that where you are financially, as how you feel comfortable, like what, like, okay, did you need to sell? Like, okay, you ask me, you do basketball cards. I don't, right? But I'm into Zion Williams. I'm into Luka. Kobe. I don't own a lot of Kobe. I literally own one rookie and the signed auto. And you probably have so many. Why did I buy this? Because Jordan's gonna introduce him to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an investment. I take that money, buy more comics. Or something.
Exactly.
I'm in it right now, but like I said, you probably are good. You got rid of them. You don't have to get them graded. You take a slight loss. You're now you're free of it. Like you're not hoarding it anymore because it's like how many Kobe rookies and then you
and now someone else can enjoy it. The same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think out of all the stuff that Alex collects, I think the only thing that you're really like super passionate about is comics. Like you get real passionate about your books, and like when you sell stuff, you lament on it for years. Like we'll still occasionally talk about it. He's like, I should not have sold that. And
there's certain books that if me and Mike were digging or whatever, and I didn't buy that Batman Adventures 12 for 9.6 for $300.
Yeah.
And then it's like after years of come by, I'm like, I'll find another one. I'll get it back. And then it's like it's trickling up. So then when I finally acquire that 9.6 Batman Adventures 12, it's like, okay, I'm keeping it because I'm the
It's cost me too much.
It cost me. I didn't buy it for $300, and now I'm suffering that I had to pay $900 to $1,000 for this book right now. So now I have a little bit, somewhat of an attachment because did I make the right choice?
Yeah.
But
It's definitely easier to sell something when you paid very little for it, and you're just like, I could make 20 times what I paid. It doesn't seem too bad. Like I'm a little more likely to get rid of it. But if you paid up for something, you're just like, when is it worth it?
So kind of like the last thing I wanted to ask you is, in all of these markets, do you think any of them are going to dry up? And if so, which one do you think is going to be the first to do it?
Dry up in the sense of like,
well, not really necessarily, I guess, crash, but like really like the market just kind of
take a dive.
Takes a nosedive. Yeah.
I think the card market is taking a dive.
Yeah.
There's too much cards. The amount of cards, basketball, football, like in the card, you guys go to the Wing Card Show in the next few months that come up and just take a look. I was like one of the few people that had a decent selection of Pokemon, but everything else is sports, basketball, football, and people have been collecting cards for many years.
Yeah.
And I've seen comic conventions, and you walk around the room, there's not that many people. Like maybe now, but there's not that many people. When I saw it, they had maybe one X-Men one on the wall, maybe a couple, things like that. I think the cards, like I kind of step back from breaking. I like to break for fun, to look for that Charizard, but as far as that goes, I'm noticing that maybe it's because basketball season is kind of not in right now, and it's baseball, right? And then then that goes back down, and then it goes into football, right? So my Luka Doncic 1 out of 1 now is worth crap because he broke a wrist or an ankle. Charizard can't break his arms or
That's true.
So people say that all the time too. But
Unless they write them that way in the show.
Are they still running cartoons? For
I have no
Pokemon?
idea.
They are Netflix.
Yeah,
They are, right?
Yeah,
They are.
yeah. I always figured that the card market, it fluctuates so much, and I mean, it was dying just a
Before.
Oh,
couple of years ago.
It was
Like,
dead
it was
in the early
dead.
2000s.
You know, because I still have my 50,000 cards from baseball when I collected from, from 73, 72, 73 till 80 to the 80s. Like, I've got those cards still, and some, later. But, back in the, I think, early 90s, I started noticing a lot of that was just took a nosedive. And I think only recently, within the last year, maybe two, it started going uptick. And I don't see it lasting long. I'm shocked it's lasted this long.
I'm a little worried, a little bit. I see it. I watch Pokemon, and again, there's not that many people that. I mean, people are buying back the nostalgia, but since Comic-Con, you see there's so many dealers, right? And even Matt, too, just in general, just how many people I can count on my hands that would spend millions of dollars just on comic books alone, just to get the original. I don't know anyone on my hands that are that liquid.
That's the thing with those more expensive books like that. Like, you think of them as good investments because they're the big ones and they're always going to be worth a lot of money. But the more you pay for a book, the more you minimize your resale value, because there's less and less people that you can resell it to.
Yeah.
So that's the thing you have to consider too if you're really getting into huge stuff. Like that $25,000 book that you bought, you're not going to sell it as quick as you are that $800 book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, we talked about that, I think, before we started. Really, was like, we're pricing out. Like, the price almost has to drop at some point, because at some point no one buys it. It's like a book can go up to $100,000 and be $100,000, but if no one's buying it for $100,000, then it might go down to 90 because someone might want to get rid of it, and then it goes down to 85 because someone's buying it 90, and it's like at some point you price out of it, and it's like there's enough of, like we were talking about, Hulk 181, I think was a good example, because there are so many of them, and there's a decent amount of 9/8s out there. It's not like they're impossible to find; they're out there. Yeah. But with it's not a Batman 1, it's not a Tech 27 or an Action 1. There's not that many Action 1s. There's not that many Tech 27s. So when they come up, you have to buy them for whatever they're asking, because when are you ever going to get the opportunity again? But there will be another Hulk 181 9/8 eventually.
Yeah,
it'll come up if you.
And I think it's also because that book better than anyone else, and I've sold you some in the past too, and not to realize that where the Hulk 181 lies today, and it's like you, of course, you would like to own it, right? Do we want to own it for the fact of the matter is that it is valuable, or do you want to own it for the fact of the matter is that you could have bought it cheaper, and now that it's unreachable, and not that it's not unreachable, but it's like a lot, it's 10x more money than when you originally had the opportunity to buy it before. And I think that's also what motivates it too, right? It drives you like, man, like I could have bought this when it was like 10,000, right? Yeah. I think 9/8s were 10,000, right, or 12,000.
Oh yeah, in 2013, yeah.
And you had to have liked the book so much to have purchased it at that time, to have held it up to this point. Another thing that I definitely stand behind is the fact is that DC Marvel, we got all the movies and the Netflix shows, and everything is derivative from these comic books, and billions of dollars of business, to be where we are today with Disney Plus, Loki, all these shows. So do I see the card market going down? Yes. Do I see comics still trending up? Because all the shows and what we watch right now trending from comic books.
Yeah, true.
100%.
Everything we consume, almost everything we consume. It's crazy.
And I think what you were saying earlier too, like, how many people you can count on your hands, will buy like a crazy Pokemon card compared to how many people may buy, a crazy comic book. I think there's probably more people because it reaches a bigger market. The same thing with sports. Sports reaches an even bigger market. So that's why, you have so many more basketball or whatever fans than you have, comic book fans. It's, the bigger your market is, the more people that you're going to have interested in it.
The hardest thing is being able to sell it properly and be able to do good business. And, and then again, Elite Comics is great just in general, just to feed the public and bring all those dealers together. And within the pandemic, and then like, wow, like, hey, you can do live claim sales, and it's great, and it's awesome. I'd love to do. I was thinking about it. Maybe Mike should do a live claim sale and do that, because it's just the passion of being able to just.
I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling anything. They know this.
We did it before Matt got involved with it. We kind of got involved with Elite very early, and we did a couple with them. And we have some good books, but I think you guys have some incredible stuff. But it was just fun. It was it's such a rush too to have be in this virtual room with people who love the same stuff. It's just, that's why we originally got into this. You walked into a comic book shop and you finally have 5 other people who speak the same language as you do. It's just gives you a high being around other people who are like you, I guess.
I went to pick up a book that I bought from I think him, Gus at Silver Age Comics.
Yeah, Gus, love Gus.
I was talking to him for a while, and he said it so well. He was like, it's like being at New York Comic Con and having 150 people at your booth.
Exactly.
All the same, and all making jokes and all having the same mentality. And
it's all the focus is just on you, everybody there.
It's true.
And in real time, you can actually buy it in real time, and then you literally, from the comfort of your own home, just send the money, PayPal, and then it gets shipped to you.
So easy, yeah.
It's so easy. So Comic-Con, you guys. Did you guys attend? Did you guys go and everything?
We go
usually
yeah.
Go, yeah. But we've never done a vendor. We flirted with the idea, but it's just, for us, it's not really worth it. It's, you have to have incredible books. The price to get, you're looking at 10,000 for just a decent sized booth.
Yeah.
And then, you have to pay people to do it. You have to rent stuff to display your books. How much money, people oh yeah, I walked away with 30 grand, but how much did you pay for that stuff that you brought, that you sold? I was did you maybe walk away with 5,000 in profit at the end of the day?
So that's actually kind of an interesting point. What do these live sales start killing that convention market a little bit, or at least lowering the cost to get a booth? Because who's going to spend $10,000 for a booth?
It's going to be. I don't think it's going to eliminate it, because people still like the going to an event thing. That's always going to be.
I don't think the con will be gone, but at what point do they lower their booth prices? Because
the
why would you
vendor's
spend 10
why
grand?
am I going to do this if I could just do it
I
for free
could just
from
go
my
on
house?
Elite Comics for $0, and they'll
Exactly.
take their percentage. It's far less than why invest
whatever they're
$10
going to pay. 100%.
I could make 30 grand on Elite, and they'll take their percentage. It's not 10 grand.
I think that the bigger markets, the New York Comic Cons and the San Diego, they're not going to change. They're always going to be the same thing, because they're going to draw that huge market, huge amount of people, no matter what. I think the smaller conventions, you may see a change. I personally, I love the live stuff, but you're really taking a gamble too, because especially if you're buying something raw, you can't see it. Even with a graded, to really get a good look at it, you got the screen, you got the words up, so it's tough. It is a little tough. Even when you're buying something with a ton of pictures, you might miss something that you would see in person. And
that's been the issue with able with eBay for years.
100%. So I kind of step back after a while, and it's just I've gotten a couple things where I missed that, or I missed this, and I was just I kind of slowed down. In the beginning, I was buying like crazy, but now I'm just here and there I'll pick something up, but I really want to get back into seeing it in person, knowing exactly what I'm getting, before I buy it.
I think it's good. They're going to augment each other going forward.
I don't think either are going to go away. This is here to stay. It's just going to be an addition. Yeah.
I just figured that might have an effect on the cost of that booth.
It may,
it might. I think it might have a slight effect on that.
There's not many shows that I would set up, but I do. I was doing Funko pretty heavy, and Funko's good because there's a lot of, you can get the Funko of the pop, and then you meet the celebrity, and they can sign the Funko, and you actually have a signed memorabilia figure versus a piece of paper that just says the celebrity's photo or whatever the case may be.
Right. That's why I always did comics. I would get, in the beginning, I was why would I get their photo signed when I can bring I was getting a bunch of these major stars. I had Sebastian Stan sign the first Winter Soldier, and Anthony Mackie sign his first book. I was I might as well have, and I feel a ton of people weren't doing that.
No.
There are some, but people weren't getting. I was these are the people who are making this character famous. I feel they're related to it, so I did well with selling some of those early on. But
That's great. That's great. I mean, I set up. I like setting up a New York Comic Con because of the amount of people. I was saying, or was it 2 years or so? But I was set up not in the comic section, but I was set up just having a booth at New York Comic Con. If you're going to set up at any show, New York Comic Con in San Diego is the best because there's so many people. This is not like a local New Jersey comic book show. This is millions of people showing up. So if you can't make money during Comic Con, then like this is it. Like this is the
you're doing something wrong.
This is the all and be all. Like I've seen people who have done shows every other weekend, and it's funny because one of my good friends, Undiscovered Realm, who's basically one of the largest Funko distributors in the East Coast, he used to do shows left and right every other weekend, Florida, whatever the case may be, and now he isn't doing any shows since pandemic, and he's like, this is great. Like I'm doing online. I don't think I ever want to do a show again. I don't have to bust my ass. I don't have to drive 8 hours. Exploding. I don't have to hit a deer on the way, which he did. He did hit a deer, a couple times. Traveling and setting up is the worst. I hate doing that.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying, Mike, like there's a lot of books that maybe you want to keep, but like the fact is that you and I can set up and literally it's just a blank office space, and we just go live with Elite Comics, right? And we just like, hey, here you go, and then we just pack and ship. Why do I have to load my car up and then go to the show and then set up? And I hate it. I hate setting.
Yeah, I would never do that. I couldn't deal with the show thing. I would only just.
You do a tattoo convention.
Yeah, it sucks. It's horrible. Like going to tattoo conventions is a nightmare. I don't even want to get into that. That was a whole nightmare. I stopped doing them 3 years ago or something like that. I can't do it anymore.
Did you make more money doing them or no?
No, I always lost money. It was a waste of time. Horrible. I used to do conventions because they were like when I was younger in my more formidable drinking years, I could get away with it, and it was more fun because you'd tattoo and then you go to the bar and then you'd pour yourself into the booth the next day. But it was fun. It was a little bit of fun depending on like who you went with and to meet everybody and to talk and to do for the same reasons. But it's like for me, it was work, especially owning my own shop. Like going with your shop is such a pain because you're responsible for all your artists, you're responsible for all the equipment, you're responsible for all the stuff. You got to make sure the booth. The last one I went to was in Toronto, and 90% of it was because I was off for a couple days after. I went to Toronto, I did 1 or 2 tattoos, and then I just went to comic book stores for 3 days straight, which was the only reson I went to Toronto. I just went to Toronto because I wanted to go Hockey Hall of Fame and Canadian prices on comics.
We should do a show on that next time.
Yeah. If Mike doesn't want to do a show with you with Elite, Alex, let us know. We'll do it with you.
Are you guys located in Long Island?
Yeah. So we're all basically in Long Island. I think Matt's in
Queens,
but
okay.
we don't have a shop or anything. Like our, where we all kind of met at Best Comics, Tommy's place.
Yeah. Great.
And,
too. Yeah.
So that was it. But this was awesome, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us. We might have to do like another episode just on like shoes and stuff like that.
That'd be cool.
To at least help out and just talk and get the shit. But what's your plan though? As far as this is podcast, and then are you looking to do a store, or what is your Let me ask you a question. Yeah. What is your future endeavors as far as what do you want to do? You sold your basketball cards, right?
Yeah. Buying comics mostly, selling some here and there. We buy and sell, but not at I don't know if we'd ever want to do it at the capacity of like a store. I mean, that would be great. I have a full-time job. We all have a full-time. I'd enjoy doing it. I don't know if it'd be something sustainable as like a job. Like I feel like I'd have to get into a few other things before my wife would say, all right, that's enough money. It's okay. But we just kind of started this for fun. We'd love for the channel to grow more. We still go out and buy comics here and there. And it's basically just to fund better comics is what we're doing. And, it's just kind of a hobby that's more of a passion that, we're trying to share with other people.
Yeah, that's the one thing also, too, when you have a live convention, that's the thing that I like. I mean, Mike, it's just seeing what's in front of you and then being able to dig through and find hidden gems, right?
100%.
Before anyone, can get your hands on it. If you did the research beforehand, where I was purchasing Tales to Astonish 13, nobody knew that was the first group. That no one knew that predated Tales from Astonishing 27 first Ant-Man, and I was buying it right beforehand, and I was like, okay, and you could find them in the bins.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like kind of cherry picked. It's hard because I think a lot of things are kind of like cherry picked.
Oh, there's nothing you can't find.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
the minorest key is on a wall. It's insane.
It's true.
What was it? The one that worried me. Oh, somebody had a crazy price tag on New Mutants 100.
100.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done.
But I mean,
like, I'm done.
Now's the time. That book is a nothing. It was a nothing.
It's still a nothing. I don't care. It's a nothing. I'm not doing it.
You're not doing it. X-Force.
Get out of here with that. Somebody wanted like $50 for it at a show.
All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this again in a year, and then talk about how the X-Force, how the New Mutants 100 is going for $2,000.
I love to talk more about going forward. What they're running out of ideas, right? We already seen the Avengers. We already saw Infinity War. We gotta move forward. So X-Force is 100% gonna be.
Yeah, but that's nobody's first appearance. It's just like, what are we talking about? Like, there was
just
I forgot what the other one. Oh, somebody.
X-Force. No, you don't believe in X-Force, but I'm buying Kamala Khan.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a minority character.
Yeah,
it's
at least the first appearance.
First appearance of X-Force.
Yeah, and then we had the Deadpool card thing. I was losing my mind. Like the day.
He's the best.
That'll be the end when like normal X-Force ones, like the regular ones without the Deadpool, just regular. When those hit like $30 a piece, we all need to just stop. If I have to pay $30 for an X-Force one, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done.
What about 25? I'll sell you one for 25 right now.
Yeah, 25. I want a 99.
It's crazy. Like I remember walking into Grasshopper and they just bought a collection and they had 2 full long boxes of just X-Force ones and they were just like, we don't even know what to do.
We remember at the Christmas parties they were just throwing them at people.
They're just throwing at people.
People and they were on the floor. We were walking all over them.
There's that many. So, but is that also like how many like Hulk 181s were printed too?
No, that's probably not close. No, they can't. No, there's not 2 million Hulk 181s. I don't know if they printed that many, but like that's.
I'm running out of material to really invest in. Like I mean, it's the next arc. You know, I think X-Men is definitely something that I want to spend more time.
Now you can't touch any X-Men books. It's over.
Yeah.
Well, now you got to go back to the wall of weird and start connecting all the dots again in your with your next 48 hours.
Yeah.
break out the notepad, Alex, and tell us what's going to be 10 years down the line.
I guess. I mean, X-Force.
Matt, we've got to do the same thing after this is over.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you mine that I picked up a whole bunch of. I told you about the Marvel premiere book, right? That Shuma Gorath book that I gambled on.
Oh,
I didn't gamble because they're
Shuma Morgath. What? Morgath.
Was it
that I played as in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that I used to play?
Yes, and I have 5 copies of that book.
You think that he's going to be something?
I don't care. I got it anyway. Who cares? What's the worst thing that can happen? I spent a couple of bucks. I did that with Mephisto, and you just bought one of my Mephistos, so Mephisto. I won. Thank you.
Well, now we're just talking about what they sold to each other.
Blackheart, we got Blackheart.
I have a bunch of those. Yeah.
Blackheart's good too. Is Daredevil 71?
270.
270. Yeah.
I don't even know.
All right, we can keep doing this, but we're gonna end the episode now. So, Alex, you want to just quickly tell people who, by any chance, if they're not following you already, the best way to follow you and reach out to you if they're interested in anything that you have going on?
I regularly check DMs and everything like that too. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Just give them your Instagram, you fool.
Go ahead and follow iPhone.elite.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That was it. That's all you had to
do. Me, I guess, and talk comics, collectibles, and I genuinely like to spread a lot of positivity with people I meet, and there's a lot of hatred in this world, and there's a lot of, so as much as we're smiling and enjoying ourselves and taking time for ourselves a little bit and our families, and not overextending ourselves too. And I think it's important because overall, I think, with all these collectibles and everything like that, I mean, when we go, we don't bring it with us.
Yeah.
So
we're renting it or leasing it for the moment.
Essentially, yeah.
I'm bringing my stuff. I'm bringing my
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm getting buried with my
You're bringing
Barry
your
Windsor
two
Smith.
one-of-one
I'm
cards
getting
with
buried
you.
with those,
Yeah,
with
I'm
that
bringing
piece.
it.
so Mike, if something happens to you, do I bury the Hulk 181 with you, or would you like me to have it?
My 9.6 Hulk 181 and my Barry Windsor Smith, bury them with me.
Bury
Alright.
it.
If Mike
Holding
goes
them like
before us,
this.
get the shovels ready, guys.
If you dig it up and steal it, that's fine. You can grave rob me. I don't care. But I want to know that I went in with it.
Yeah,
I made the effort to dig it up.
Noted.
It's fine.
I'll need a reprint of the Hulk 181, Matt. Just let me have
No,
that
I
ready.
want mine. You do some work and dig it up if you want it. Do the work.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks again for joining us.
Great.
Alex, this has been
Thank you.
awesome. Mike, thank you for being our special guest.
Thank
Crazy
you.
end show.
Always a
And
pleasure.
that's it. I don't even know how we're going to end this. This is like, we'll see what happens. But
All right, so that interview's done. It's probably one of the most interesting interviews we've had so far to date. It was so good that TC and Matt just had to stop. They were done. They had to drop off. So I'm going to finish this up. Hey, before we go, do us a favor, hit subscribe on all of our channels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Get some updates every time we post something. We're going to be adding more content over the next few weeks, box openings and more interviews and everything else good like that. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at LI Comic Guys, and Don't Feed the Geeks. And be sure to follow iPhone.elite and M Caro Tattoo on Instagram, the two guys that we had on. They're two great guys. Mike is awesome. He's been a friend of ours for a long time. And our new friend, iPhone Elite. Such a great episode. So thank you very much for spending the time with us just to BS. It was great. So I think I'm just going to wrap this up because I didn't even know what to say. So remember, until next time.
Don't be the geeks!